Welcome to the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit reading. Today I pulled the bear. Waking from spiritual slumber, beginning anew. After a long winter, the bear arises from deep slumber. At first, the movement and effort are difficult, but the bear knows it's time to awaken and move toward the dawning light. The bear card represents an individual on the cusp of new directions and personal transformation. The initial weeks and months of the spiritual guest may feel tricky, cumbersome, and full of obstacles. But you have no choice, bear. Winter wanes, the warmth of spring emerges, and your transformation begins. When in balance, the bear's energy is inner strength, yearning to grow. When out of balance, it is in withdrawal, lethargy, and heaviness. To bring it into balance, movement and exercise are recommended. The bear. Hibernation is a beautiful thing. See, and what marvels me is animals just are so intuitive and they know. The bear goes to sleep, so what he does, he eats and eats and eats. Now, especially if it's a mama bear, she's going to be nursing these cubs. So she really has to pack on the pounds. And then when she goes into hibernation, those babies are nursing, and then spring happens. And she's like, oh, I gotta wake up. Why? Because one can only slumber for so long. Something from inside of the bear wakes it up. Some may call it hunger. Or if you're a mom and you have a little one sleeping next to you, well, they kick you when you wake up, right? That's how it is. But something from inside of the bear causes it to awaken. So whenever the time is right, the bear gets up. And what does the bear do as soon as it gets up? Looks for something to nourish it. Because without that nourishment, it will perish. And what do? We fight the awakening, We get an inclination of what we should do. Sometimes our inclinations are not as strong as the bear's hunger, but the inclination is there nonetheless. Something is stirring within you. What is stirring within you? What is it calling you to do? That's the question today. Well, I'm asking myself that question because I do feel it. I do feel like there's something I must do. And so I wait because I have the feeling. I'm not clear on what direction the feeling is taking me in, but I'm watching it and waiting. Like I said, it may not be as clear and vivid as hunger, because then you have to eat. But when you get a calling from deep inside you to get up, you get up. That call can't be ignored. We try and suppress it, much to our own detriment. When you suppress the calling that's coming from within your soul, sometimes we can end up unhappy. But then I have to ask myself, what's more important? To be afraid or to follow the inclination? And that's the thing with fear, you see. We pass it on. We don't drop it like it's hot. We pass it on with glee. For instance, if you get up and you're like, ooh, I must create some artwork today. just got to draw today. The first thing you hear is, there's no money in being an artist. What, you want to be a starving artist? That is fear. It is someone else's fear. Because they've chosen to ignore the calling or suppress the calling that's coming from within themselves. And this is why they get cranky. You ever seen a hungry bear? Well, I've never seen a hungry bear, but I can imagine. I don't want to get close to a hungry bear. I am small enough to be a snack. So, no. But think about it. When you encounter someone who is especially acerbic and cranky and difficult or challenging to be around, don't lash out. Look at them and ask yourself, what are they afraid of? What kind of calling did they get that they are suppressing? And then you've got to be careful that you are not the angry bear. Oh, I've had days like that. All because I'm struggling. Do I do it? Do I not do it? I'm so scared. I am. Who wouldn't be afraid? But the fear is not necessarily yours. The fear has been floating around and being passed down from people and their opinions, because they too are afraid. So at some point, one of you is going to have to get up and get out of the cave and find some nourishment, or risk your very existence. That's the word from me this morning. If it resonates with you, hallelujah. But today for me, I'm encouraged to not be afraid. There is no need to be afraid. Because the desire within you is so strong. If you follow it, fear has no choice but to evaporate like fog in the sunlight. So yeah, it's okay. I'm using bunny ears. It's natural to be afraid. But it is not okay to have your fear cripple you to the point where you stifle your calling. Trust the call, because nature knows what she's doing. Mother Nature knows what she's doing. You ever heard your name and you don't know who called you? Yeah. What do you do when you hear your name and there's so much noise? You stop and you listen, because you will hear your name again. And when you hear it the second time, you have a better idea of what direction to go in to find the caller. But here's the paradox. The caller is coming from within your body. I keep telling people, your body is simply a receiver and sender of information. So what's inside your body? You are inside your body. You're the one calling your own name. You're the nature waking up the sleeping bear. Because it is time. It is time to awaken, O slumbering bear. It's time. And now that you know it's time to arise, simply follow the desire. Just follow it. And it doesn't matter what someone's opinion of that desire is. Let me throw in a disclaimer here. I'm talking about desires that uplift your spirit and uplift the spirit of others. Because unconditional love is never harmful to anyone. And that is the foundation of your calling. It is unconditional love. So imagine how much more beautiful our interactions would be if we were not so cranky because we suppressed the call. Now, I trust and hope that that has resonated with you, because it spoke to me this morning. It's making me check myself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Yeah. It's making me check myself for sure. So, wake up. Wake up. And follow your desire, because it will nourish your soul from the very core of your being all the way out. Feel free to check out my podcast, share it, my YouTube channel, my website, because I usually have more tidbits. There's so much floating around, and I have to follow the desire, you see. So when I'm inspired, I follow the inclination and I write it, or I speak it. And like I mentioned to you before, whether or not you hear this podcast, I have heard it. I heard it. You see, that's how it works. Have a phenomenal day. Much love.